Welcome guys to an episode with the Doomed Hell. Today I wanted to make a e-recycle tier peripheral gaming peripherals video going through some of my ideas for low-end gamers looking for the fastest peripherals you could potentially get. I have this kind of like rinky-dink OBS setup with my webcam high, and I'm hoping this video turns out good. If it doesn't, I'll have to, set up a different way next time. So today we're really going to be talking about mice and keyboards that are very cheap, that are very good for gaming performance, specifically in the e-recycle tier. That means anything that you can find on the very low, sub $10, that could potentially get you going. Really, to start off, we're gonna go with the keyboard because the keyboard is the easiest one to understand. Now, I made a whole video talking about latency between USB and PS2, as well as a lot of other factors that might go into gaming peripherals. I'm going to make a small summary. The tiny summary is that between USB 2, like regular USB 2, and PS2, you're gonna have a lot of differences. Usually PS2 keyboards will have lower latency, especially when you overclock them. Then they will actually go much higher. However, a lot of modern day keyboards will use USB in 500 Hertz or 1000 Hertz latency ranges, cross through ranges. And so in those cases, the bottleneck will no longer be on the USB peripheral, and usually those keyboards can be a little faster than PS2, but of course PS2 becomes still a better price to bargain. So for instance, here I have a Rosewool RK 9000 V2. This one is the red version, so this is the Cherry MX Red, and it's currently attached to my to a mini USB that goes all the way to a USB to PS2. And it is running in PS2 mode. I was able to overclock it using Registry Editor, and it was a very cheap setup because the keyboard itself was kind of like, was not wanted, so I bought it for $20. And then buying one of these on AliExpress could be $1, $2, and if you're really unlucky, maybe $3. So it is very, very cheap for pretty much one of the fastest keyboards I could ever ask for. Now, obviously, I am missing some potentially macro keys that might be kind of cool, but I will be making a video on a secondary keyboard that I bought recently. So this is definitely a possibility that is in the low ranges, but again, if you are on a very tight budget, this might not be possible. So in those cases, I would suggest running this keyboard right here. Haha, you thought I was going to talk about a USB keyboard. No. Here is a Gateway stock keyboard. So this is a real PS2 keyboard. It comes, it's wired and it comes with a PS2. And what I mean real is just that it can only pass through PS2, whereas my other keyboard can pass through either USB or PS2. It's got both modes on the board. So with these real PS2, you can still overclock them. They're actually quite nice to run. They sound good. They are technically what you call a membrane keyboard. So or are they actually? Actually, I believe they're not, because from I took out the keys and underneath I did not see any mesh, unless it's a mechanical under a mesh. That could be also a possibility that kind of exists. But from my experience with this keyboard, it was excellent. I got this for free. It only had one little problem, which was the space bar here, the little metal bracket here for the space bar, so that you have even spacing, was broken, and so I just put some duct tape on it really quickly. Actually, I was doing it during a CS:GO ranked game because it pissed me off, and yeah, I never took it off. That's why it looks so old. I tried cleaning this pretty good. It turned out okay. It looks better on camera than in person. Here is more yellow than on top, and then some of the keys on the side are kind of fading. If you look at it, hold on. If you can kind of see that, it is kind of fading. but otherwise it's a very good keyboard, and it can treat you well if you're a early gamer. You know, the keys are great for mashing them, except for the spacebar. The spacebar is kind of mushy because, again, of that problem. But again, this keyboard you can find in a recycling bin or from a friend. In this case, it was a friend, and they work just great for gaming. So that's the first keyboard. I'm going to get rid of it for now. The second possibility, and this is probably something that might happen to you a lot more, is getting one of these old HP keyboards. Now, in this case, what's really cool is that these old keyboards also have a PS2 mode in them. So you see here it has a USB, but in some cases you can get these keyboards and they do have a USB mode. So if you are able to run them in USB, that is totally fine. So that is an advantage. So if you ever find some of these keyboards, these old, see, this is an old HP keyboard. On the back you have the kind of like sorry, the rev and the specific product key. Once you put this in Windows, then sometimes you can find out that yes, it has a PS2 mode, and so that's very beneficial. So I would pair that with one of these. You know, again, you could buy these at AliExpress. Actually, mine I found in, you know, one of my old drawers or one of my parents' old drawers. But for sure, if you have anyone in the household that has old computers or has had old computers, that's the way they would do it. Now, the reason why you would go with this one is probably because either you don't have PS2 on your computer, or you would rather run, you know, an old USB for any kind of reason. And versus the other keyboard, the Gateway keyboard, it is because you have a PS2 and you want to use the benefits of PS2. Now, let's say you had the Gateway keyboard and you didn't have PS2, which is unfortunate because you won't be able to actually enjoy PS2. You can always buy one of these adapters, also on AliExpress or you know, in, you know, wherever you want. And these keyboards, this is just fine for a old PS2 keyboard. Although usually you will have a bit of latency errors. So if you don't have a PS2 keyboard, I would just suggest one of these. Now, it does look pretty basic. You know, it is a basic keyboard. But what's great is that all of these stock keyboards have interchangeable membrane keys. So if you want to get like hollow plastic keys, or if you want to get like lightweight keys, that is totally a way to get good performance out of it. So your total budget could be $10, and you could get a really cool modded keyboard that would do the trick for gaming. Now, I literally started on one of these keyboards, and I was just fine at playing video games. The only real reason why I upgraded was because I wanted the macro keys, or right now it's really because I wanted a PS2 to USB with the Cherry MX. That's like a very specific and very niche reason to get it. Now, obviously, if I had $100 or if I had $50, I would be looking at getting a Corsair K70, K90, or K100 keyboards. Those are just fine for most gamers. So that's that with the keyboards. I could stop the video right now, but we will get into the mice now. So what to do when you are a gamer but you don't have a gaming mouse at home? Well, then I would suggest getting one of these bad boys. This is a Microsoft WMO mouse. This is a 2009 mouse, the specific one, although they kept making them for quite some time, maybe even past 2014. So it's right in that juicy spot where you will be finding them in your parents' drawers or in recycling bins, whatever it may be. And even on eBay, you could buy one of these for just under $10. So why get this keyboard? Well, firstly, this mouse. Well, firstly, it is an optical mouse. It's a very good optical mouse. It's just totally fine for most gamers. Secondly, it is very ergonomic. Now, you might look at this and say, well, this doesn't look very good. You know, it's kind of basic. But in fact, this is the exact design that the later Death Adder mice that chose this design, that were inspired by this design, and also the Glorious Gaming design. So this is really just, this is the ancestor of this mouse. This is a Model D, but the Model O is exactly the same thing. And you can kind of tell, like, side by side, they have some similarities in terms of size and dimensions. Obviously, this one is a little more on the side because this one is supposed to be ergonomic. It's supposed to work for both left and right handers. This one is just right hander, as you can see. But they're basically the same in a lot of aspects. And this is the exact mouse that I started playing Counter-Strike, Garry's Mod, and a bunch of other games of that era. That's kind of like 2012 to 2014 era. And we bought it for $30, but you can easily buy one of these for under $5 now, or even sometimes free. Now, right now, this mouse does have a problem. The left click is a little broken, which got me very angry back in the day. But again, very easy to clean it out. You just take out these three screws that are under here, and you could just clean it out, the button, and you could even potentially replace the specific button that's in here. That's very easy to do. You just need a replacement mouse or a replacement button. Now, let's say you have a little bit more budget. Now, obviously, another thing I wanted to say was that this is just a regular USB mouse, and I can promise you that you will get results off of this. Like for an e-recycle mouse, it's perfect. Now, if you had a little bit more budget and you were looking for something a little bit more advanced as a mouse, I definitely suggest looking into getting a G305. I've been using this for a little bit, and it's a sub $40 mouse. It's very, very well made. Again, it's a little bit it's not really biased for right-handers, which is nice if you're a left-hander, except for the keys on the side here. It's a very small mouse compared to the WMO, but it does the trick because, again, it's a wireless mouse, and it uses regular AA batteries, which is great. And actually, I have a build that I'm going to start doing with this. This is the exact mouse I'm going to use for my my 3D printed G Pro build. So that will be excellent, I think, to start with. I will take this, I will replace the AA battery bracket with a LR44 bracket, which will obviously give me less battery life, but that's fine because the LR44s are much cheaper in bulk, and then it is also much lighter. Like right now it's kind of heavy actually. I've never had a mouse this heavy. Like even the WMO is lighter, but I like the weight because it's easy to pick up. It feels like I'm picking up a rock instead of picking up kind of like a something that slides. And and then the other thing is I'm gonna print out the G Pro super light build, which has also holes in it, just like my Model D. And that should make it actually lighter than any mouse that I've ever had, on top of being wireless. So I think that's going to be really, really cool. So that's pretty much it for today, boys. Obviously, there are other mice you might consider. If you see a cheap Death Adder, Viper, or any mouse of that kind of range, I would definitely suggest checking out. But generally speaking, your WMOs are going to be much cheaper. Firstly, I mean literally like lunch money type cheapness. And secondly, you'll probably have exactly the same performance out the bat. The only reason why you'd want to go with one of these, or why I ended up upgrading to one of these, was because I really just wanted this mouse. That's really how good this mouse was. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great day.